fed them, brought them to the Red Sea, okay? Tell them, I'm going to give you all this land, all this kind of stuff, and you open your mouth and start talking mess. That, in no time, he spent with them. Then Yahweh says, almost to the point, what else am I going to do with these people? I'm doing it. Why they don't get it? You know, it's like I just showed them something that is totally miraculous that you ain't never heard of, never seen before, never thought about. But yet you acting a fool with me, and don't think that I can't snatch y'all. I can't beat the hell out of y'all. You understand? I can crush y'all the same as I crushed your enemy. But yet you injuring your Elohim by acting a fool and turning your back on him. So we also looking at how many has done this, cursed themselves, and how many that they really got it, as we say. I understand, I'm with it, I'm all in, my feet, my head, everything's in. They only had 2 men.
It was 2.
2 men that show that they are the remedy. You know, so when Yahweh saying, how long I got to deal with these people? He just started it. You know what I mean? He just started this movement here to show them. But then Yahweh's questioning himself like, oh man, I did all this and they not impressed? That had to really upset the Father. That really had to hurt his heart, you know. And then, to me, he humbled himself to say, well, look, okay, I got to go further with them because they just stupid as hell. So I got to continue on with these stupid children, but I will bless the ones who follow me. I will give better to them who will follow me, you know. And he also listened to his children. See, that's how deep this is. You opened your mouth. I'm showing you right now. I'm taking care of you. I'm doing all type of things. I'm showing you by my mouth the words that come back void. By your mouth, it ain't coming back void either. Because they cursed their whole family, so they lived in the desert because of their own mouth. But Yahweh still took care of their children. That's pretty deep.
Yep. The innocent.
And brother, if you look at certain other instances in the scriptures, like you say Dawid, when Absalom was sinned against him, and then some people came together like, no, allow Absalom to come back. Dawid allowed him to come back. He said, but he's not allowed to look upon my face. Meaning that you're going to bear my reproach, that I do not agree with your doings.
Right.
Which is what Yahweh did unto us at the garden. He's like, yo, you're going to have to be removed from me because this rebellion that you have done, I have to show unto you that I'm not with you. I'm not confirming this covenant with you. I'm not going to agree with you. This is not going to be like
we all good.
Yeah, like we're all good. To see Yahweh is like that, like the intimacy of him, like how he showed Moshe, okay, you could see my back part. You are not to behold my whole glory. I'm not going to confirm this covenant with you to see my glory that I agree with your doing. So when he refused and rejected mankind, he preserved his holiness and removed, because he created them. But he's like, but I'm going to remove my holiness from you so that I am not perverted, and that you can see that I am different from you. I'm not the same as you. So when they're provoking him in the wilderness, could have been the words of saying, like, I wonder if Yahweh going to pollute himself and show himself among these people, where he says, look, even if I do show myself among you, you will die. Right. My holiness will not be polluted.
It's okay, yeah.
And he showed himself because they was demanding to stone Moshe. So he had to show up. He's like, all right, he showed up. But when you look at that pattern, it's the same pattern as how he had the putting away of the wife.
That's right.
Like you said, look, I'm gonna take care of you, but you're gonna have to go over here. I'm not dealing with you right now. But it was intended to come back. Once you get your stuff together, then I can bring you back. It was always intended, just like he did Yasharal, pushed us out. But I'm gonna come back to you. But when you get it together,
right?
Go ahead.
Verse 10. But all the congregation bathed, stoned them with stones, and the glory of Yahweh appeared unto the tabernacle. Now verse 12. I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of you a greater nation and mightier than they. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, then the Mitzrites shall hear it, for you brought us up this people in your might from among them.
He was testing. He was just testing Moshe because he's not a man. He doesn't repent. Go ahead.
And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that you, Yahweh, are among this people, that you, Yahweh, are seen face to face, and that your cloud stands over them, and that you go before them by day time in a pillar of a cloud and in a pillar of fire by night. Now if you shall kill all this people as one man, Then the nations which have heard the fame of you will speak, saying, because Yahweh was not able to bring this people into the land which he swore unto them, therefore he has slain them in the wilderness.
So Yahweh, everything is, the end is already established. So he knew what he was going to do with his firstborn. He knew the covenant he made with the people. He knew that he chose these people. But this is what he does with leaders as well. He puts them in situations so that they can be proven, so that they can see what's in their own heart. When they're faced with those situations and they see and they sit back and they realize, man, look what I just did. I stood in the breach for these people. Y'all could have been saying, you know what? You want to stick up for these wicked people? Guess what? I'm taking you. And ultimately, that's what happened to him. He got taken out. Go ahead.
And now I beseech you, that the power of my Adonai be great, according as you have spoken, saying, Yahweh is long-suffering and great of mercy, and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgressing, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation.
So he's visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. So all that, you can't get dealt with because of what your fathers did and all. That's why we suffering here right now. Go ahead.
Verse 19. Pardon, I beseech you, the iniquity of this people according unto the greatness of your mercy, and as you have forgiven this people from Mitzrayim until now. And Yahweh said, I have pardoned according to your word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh. But all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles which I did in Mitzrayim and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice.
10, that's mercy. After one time of doing that, maybe twice. Okay, so twice. I gave you a break the first time. The second time. No, this is 10 times now. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Surely they shall not see the land which I swore unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and has followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it.
He had another spirit with him. He didn't say inside him. He said he had another spirit with him. So he had an angel that guided him and kept him in the way, and he had followed me fully. So just because you have the spirit don't mean you following the spirit. You have to use that flesh and make your flesh follow the spirit.
Yeah, and brother, Caleb and Yahshua were probably good vessels that the angels saw that, I can lead these children in the right direction. But the actions that presented themselves, the temptations and the testings that presented themselves to the children of Yasharal showed of what spirit they were of. Because every time they were tested and pressured, they yielded to an evil spirit. Right. Meaning that the thoughts in their mind was already polluted enough that the devil was able to get a foothold and do all kinds of wickedness among them. Whereas Caleb and Yahshua gave heed to a different spirit, like Yahweh said, there's another spirit that was able to use my servants and use them. So we have to protect our minds. If we're seeking Yahweh, we need to be rebuking those thoughts and those things that are not conducive to living by the Spirit.
Exactly. Verse 25.
Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Yasharal, which they murmur against me.
So, does it have to be them? Hey, you know what? This Moshe, man, he's tripping, man. He's trying to make us do all this stuff. Murmuring. I heard you murmur. Man, you murmur. He heard Sarah laugh in her heart.
That's right.
So when you man, why I gotta keep these commandments? Man, I don't want to keep these commandments. You know what? Do I really have to keep this commandment here? He hears those murmurings in your heart. So you better be real with yourself and say, rebuke that spirit, like you said, real quick, and say, you know what? Nah, This is not righteousness. This is a different spirit right here because I'm wanting to do something else. It's already in your flesh. All that, well, he has a pure heart. That's the movies. Ain't nobody got no pure heart.
Nope.
You have to be given a pure heart.
Right.
Washed clean with hyssop. A new spirit created within you. But you have to show the Father that you're worthy of that. That you're a vessel worthy of that spirit. Go ahead.
Yeah, verse 28. Say unto them, as truly as I live, says Yahweh, as you have spoken in my ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. Doubtless you shall not come into the land concerning which I swore to make you dwell therein, save Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Yahshua, the son of Nun.
It says the whole number. So the whole number of a man is 20 years old. That's when you become a man. Go ahead.
But your little ones, which you said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised.
All right, let's stop right there. Let's move on to Jeremiah chapter 3. So he's showing you another separation. All you adults, since you didn't want to become children, you didn't want to become a new creature, you didn't want to be my servants, you wanted to stay a slave, and you didn't want to be a king. So guess what? I'm going to wipe out all of y'all, 20 years and upward, except the remnant. You too. Come with me.
What chapter?
Jeremiah chapter 3. Jeremiah chapter 3. We're going to start that at verse 1. So he's constantly making this separation, and we think that it's, Yahweh is just picking a group of people and saying, you come here and do that. Nah. People are showing him that they want to be part of the sheep. They want to be in that good, righteous cut.
Yep.
And you have the opportunity because he came to you and showed you specifically to your nation how to make the cut. So you already got an advantage, just like your dad an NBA player and you've been playing basketball all your life. You got a great, doesn't mean you going into the NBA, but you got a great opportunity.
With a chance.
All the best equipment, the facility, you on the court with NBA players. You got a coach, the coaches coming to your house. Your dad a star player. You got everything. And that's how we are. We got the MVP of the league, the creator of everything. Son, to show us how to do everything. Jeremiah chapter 3 and start that at verse 1.
They say if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, says Yahweh.
And that verse right there is one of the hardest verses for a husband to deal with. Because Yah forbid a husband have to deal with that situation with his wife being polluted by another man. The law says I can put that woman away. The law says she need to be stoned to death. But we just like we read in Matthew, judge how you will be judged. The measure you met, the meat is the measure you're going to be met by. So we played the harlot many a times. But yet he says, return unto me. So that situation arises in our lives as husbands. That's one of those ones, boy, you're going to really need the Spirit to deal with that. And counsel and faith and all kind of stuff. Because that's one kind of pain and hurt that is very difficult to spirit your way out of. Because that flesh is on fire. He's looking for blood. A husband looking to kill somebody. Go ahead.
Lift up your eyes unto the high places and see where you have not been lying with. In the ways have you sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness, and you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there has been no latter rain. And you had a whore's forehead. You refused to be ashamed.
The whore's forehead is covered up.
Wow.
So she ain't got no shame because ain't nobody can see her. Ain't nobody can say, hey, I saw your daughter out there selling herself. I saw a woman with her face covered up. Go ahead.
Will you not from this time cry unto me, my father, you are the guide of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as you could. Yahweh said also unto me in the days of Uzziah the king, have you seen that which backsliding Yasharal has done? She has gone upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot.
That's where they went to worship all those gods. Under the oak tree, which Allah comes from a derivative of oak, and on these high mountains to worship the stars and the moon and the suns and all the heavens. Go ahead.
And I said, after she had done these things, turn you unto me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Yasharal committed adultery, I had put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
So Yehuda sat there and watched Yasharal, the house of Yasharal, do the wickedness that they did, and they were wagging their fingers. Oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh man, those people are wicked. Oh, cut them off, cut them off, cut them off. Then turn around and did the same thing.
And it came to pass, through the lightness of her whoredom, that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks.
The cross and that stone of Islam, or the big wall that they kiss and all that could be stones too.
And yet for all this her treacherous sister Yehuda had not returned unto me with her whole heart, but vainly, says Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto me, the backsliding Yasharal has justified herself more than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, you backsliding Yasharal, says Yahweh, and I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, says Yahweh, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity, that you have transgressed against Yahweh your Elohim, and have scattered your ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says Yahweh.
Just admit it. Acknowledge. That's the first step, because if you can acknowledge it, now I can forgive you. And now I can give you a little bit of portion of the Spirit, because you're acknowledging it, and we can move on. But you got a whore's forehead. I didn't do anything wrong. What you mean? I didn't do that. Look what he did. Verse 14.
Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city, and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
I don't want everybody. Two of a family? So, okay, if you count the mother and the father as one, and say they're one flesh, then that means a mother and father and one kid. And that's being generous, saying that, we're going to count, because those are still two souls. One of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. That is a extreme, harsh cut. Harsh cut. He don't want everybody. He gave everybody an opportunity. It wasn't his will that y'all perish. That's what he told us. But at the end of the day, he gave you free will to make that decision, to show him that you want to make that cut. When you go on a basketball court, you're trying to make the basketball team. You don't go out there and play garbage, miss shots, turn over the ball, don't play no defense, drink up a bunch of Gatorade and be like, coach, put me in the game. I want to make, and look on the sheet, be, I ain't make the team. You an idiot. Nobody does that. You give forth your best. Now, if you don't care, you do that stuff. Show up in some church shoes, I ain't really trying to make the team. But you're not fooling Yahweh and come up on the day of the cut and try to talk to the coach. Coach, give me another chance. Go ahead.
He didn't clothe himself with basketball attire.
Exactly. You showed up in a hockey uniform. Right. Obviously, you want to play hockey.
Right.
You don't want to play basketball. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And it shall come to pass, when you be multiplied and increased in the land in those days, says Yahweh, They shall say no more, the ark of the covenants of Yahweh. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done any more. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahweh, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahweh, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. In those days the house of Yehudah shall walk with the house of Yasharal, and they shall come together out of the land of the north, and to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. But I said, how shall I put you among the children, and give you a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the host of nations? And I said, you shall call me Father, and shall not turn away from me. Surely as a wife treacherously departs from her husband, so have you dealt treacherously with me, O house of Yasharal, says Yahweh. A voice was heard upon the high places, weeping and supplications of the children of Yasharal, for they have perverted their way, and they have forgotten Yahweh their Elohim. Return, you backsliding children, and I will heal your backslidings. Behold, we come unto you, for you are Yahweh our Elohim. Truly in vain is salvation hoped for from the hills and from the multitude of mountains. Truly in Yahweh our Elohim is the salvation of Yasharal.
So when you look at the picture of what was going on at that time, again, they were scattered. They didn't have the books and computers and reference material. They didn't have all these things. They learned the word through oral, through the father doing the deeds, keeping the commandments, teaching the children. And then they learned from every 7 years at Jubilee, and every year when they read the law, and on the new months when they came and they read out the law books, and they learned these things. And they learned these things, and this is how they learned to be obedient and learn the law. The nations around them did what they needed to do. So when the priests started falling off, when the parents start falling off, and they are no longer doing these deeds, the children are growing up, not seeing these things, Israel is split in two, all these things are going on. Now it's not enough to just have the priests come out here and speak. Now he needed special messengers to go out there and say, look, what are you doing? Listen, this is not the law. Yeah, the priests are saying that this is the law, this is what you're supposed to be doing, but that's not true. Here, look what's in this book. Find you this book. Listen to me. This is what you're supposed to do. And they're pleading with the people. Come back. Return from that way. This is not that. I know you've been doing that for a while, because the people that are esteemed highly in your neighborhood, the so-called priests and leaders, are priests of Baal now doing this stuff. But that's not the right way to do that. Come back to me. That's all vanity. That's not working. But all those other people that are coming to do all that stuff, they were the people in power. They were the people that had money. They were the people that had all the land and had all the animals given to them, and they were highly esteemed. Go ahead, brother.
Brother, I agree with you. It does tell you Yahweh's laying down knowledge here is telling you, if you return back to me, that means when you do this type of things, you're showing him your heart, because he looks through a man and sees his heart, that you're trying, you really want to seek his face. Then he said, I will give you these pastors, these teachers, to teach you what I taught them, so you can go on and do my will. Because on this page he's telling you the same thing, return you backsliding children, because the next verse is telling you, y'all fulfilling yourselves into these various religions, various beliefs, when you think you're going to get salvation on those hills. So he's telling them, it ain't the way. I'm letting you know right now, I'll have a way for you. Because people out there are saying, well, how do you know the truth? How can you learn the truth? Who is real? If you look at this scripture and really seek in his face, he's telling you, I am going to bring you to these scriptures right here to tell you how you're going to worship me. And I have people waiting to teach you, because they made a decision, because I chose them. They made a decision to follow me. They waited to teach you. So look at what's going on around your world. These people are teaching you lies, saying that there's salvation in their words, but they have bad fruit. So I wanted to bring that point out, because this people need to look at. He's opening his heart and his arms up to us right now and letting us know, hey people, I have a way for you to learn.
Praise Yah. Go ahead and finish it out, brother.
Verse 24. For shame has devoured the labor of our fathers from our youth, their flocks and their herds, their sons and their daughters. We lie down in our shame, and our confusion covers us. For we have sinned against Yahweh, our Elohim. We and our fathers from our youth, even unto this day, and have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh, our Elohim.
And notice Yirmiyah saying we. He understands that this is a nation. We're dealing with nations. Let's move on to Ezekiel chapter 6. Ezekiel is 2 books down from Yirmiyah. So he's telling you, I don't want to take everybody. I would love, it's not my will that any of them perish, but I cannot bring wickedness amongst my children.
That's right.
My children need peace. They deserve it. They've suffered so long. So I'm going to grab my children, give them peace, and they will have peace because I'm removing the wickedness from among you. But what are they surviving? Are they just surviving, they're living in luxury and then, they just ignore the people that are doing wickedness? No. These people are in captivity. He's coming into the captivity and said, listen, because like Yirmiyah said, we have done this. So we went into captivity.
Uh-huh.
And them, the elect, are going to have to suffer for righteousness' sake, endure through the captivity, endure through their brothers and sisters, do the best to help we rise back up again. And then he's going to grab his. From wherever they be at, all their captivities, and he's going to allow them to survive their captivities.
That's right.
So this is where we're at now, Ezekiel chapter 6.
And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward the mountains of Yasharal, and prophesy against them, and say, You mountain of Yasharal, hear the word of my sovereign Yahweh. Thus says my sovereign Yahweh to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, Behold, I, even I, will bring a sword upon you, and I will destroy your high places.
So he's acting things out right now. Turn to these mountains and talk to them. He's trying to get people to understand what he's saying. Go ahead.
And your altars shall be desolate, and your images shall be broken, and I will cast down your slain men before your idols. And I will lay the dead carcasses of the children of Yasharal before their idols, and I will scatter your bones round about your altars. In all your dwelling places the cities shall be laid waste, and the high places shall be desolate, that your altars may be laid waste and made desolate, and your idols may be broken and cease, and your images may be cut down, and your works may be abolished. And the slain shall fall in the midst of you, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Yet will I leave a remnant, that you may have some that shall escape the sword among the nations, when you shall be scattered through the countries.
So this is the remnant. The remnant which they describe, those that might have lies and don't do iniquity and resist evil. He will leave a remnant amongst all these nations scattered through these countries. Now, there's also the purpose for that remnant, because the remnant being scattered in all these countries are now taking the word with them in all these countries, in all these different places where they have us in captivity. Other nations are also hearing this, as well as our other people that are scattered in those nations are having somebody to say, look, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. I know we here, but don't do what they do. Don't forget why we're here. I didn't know that. I thought we were just slaves forever. I didn't know. I thought we came from Africa. That's all I know. Well, we're here for a reason. We're here for punishment. This is how we can get out of this punishment. Don't do what these people do.
Yep.
Verse 9.
And they that escape of you shall remember me among the nations, where they shall be carried captives, because I am broken with their whorish heart, which has departed from me, and with their eyes which go a whoring after their idols, and they shall loathe themselves for the evils which they have committed in all their abominations.
And that is what that putting away was supposed to do. Was supposed to make you loathe yourself for the adultery that you have done, for the fornication that you have committed, for the defiling of the covenant, of the marriage bond. That's what that putting away is supposed to be doing. But he is not going to go back and grab a woman that is put away. She's put away and she's sleeping with even more men. You're not going to go grab that woman. You're going to destroy that woman. And this is what he did is going to do to our people. Hey, I put you away because you were chasing all these whores. You were doing like the whores, the other nations. I put you away. You go away out of the house. You get dealt with horribly. And then you grab a hold of them same people that's dealing with you horribly unto their gods. And expect me to invite you back in my house. Nah. He has a remnant of people that said, you know what? I played the whore before, but I'm sorry. I understand now. I was foolish. I'm a different person. I could be that wife that you need me to be. Let me prove it to you. Because I'm going to do it way over here without your covering, without the nice house, without all that stuff. And I'm going to resist all the other men that are trying to come after me to just use me and all that. And I'm going to show you that I belong in your home. And what is a good husband going to do? I forgive you. Because if I didn't want to have you forever, I wouldn't have took you. Come on back home. Just don't do it again. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And they shall know that I am Yahweh, and that I have not said in vain that I will do this evil unto them. Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, smite with the hand, and stamp with your foot, and say, alas, for all the evil abominations of the house of Yasharal, for they shall fall by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. He that is afar off shall die of pestilence, and he that is near shall fall by the sword, and he that remains and is besieged shall die by the famine. This will I accomplish my fury. Thus will I accomplish my fury upon them.
So it don't matter where you are. It don't matter if you flee back to Yasharal. If you still got that same wicked spirit in you, it's wickedness. Fleeing there is not going to help you. Now, if you have a pure heart and you're making, the changes in your life and you go there, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a better opportunity there, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get punished for being there as well. Because again, you're going to be judged based upon your capacity and what you did to keep these commandments. Go ahead.
Then you shall know that I am Yahweh, when their slain men shall be among their idols round about their altars, upon every high hill, in all the tops of the mountains, and under every green tree, and under every thick oak, the place where they did offer sweet savor to all their idols. So will I stretch out my hand upon them, and make the land desolate, yea, more desolate than the wilderness toward Diblath, in all their habitations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
All right, let's move on to Zephaniah chapter 3. That's another 3 or 4 books down. Zephaniah chapter 3. So he's leaving a remnant to survive these captivities, and then he's going to gather the remnant. But he's sending the sword amongst the captivity. And this is what we see now when we cut on the news, when we get on the social feeds. We're seeing the sword devouring our people in this captivity. But he's allowing a remnant. I'm not really cutting on the news and seeing too many Israelites or even religious Hebrew Israelites being murdered down in the street. Because even the religious Hebrew Israelites got a basic understanding that I need to keep the Sabbath day. I need to stay away. I need to not do this wickedness in the street. So each of us may be off in our congregations with something, but there's a certain level of covering that's being applied in mercy to those that are trying to do these things correctly. But even in that, there's going to be another separation. of sheep and goats.
Okay.
Zephaniah chapter 3, we're going to start this at verse 1.
Woe to her that is filthy and polluted, to the oppressing city. She obeyed not the voice. She received not correction. She trusted not in Yahweh. She drew not near to her Elohim. Her princes within her are roaring lion. Her judges are ravening wolves.
Evening wolves.
Are evening wolves. They gnaw not the bones till the marrow. Her prophets are light and treacherous persons. Her priests have polluted the sanctuary. They have done violence to the law. The just Yahweh is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning does he bring his judgment to light. He fails not, but the unjust know no shame. I have cut off the nations. Their towers are desolate. I made their streets waste that none pass by. Their cities are destroyed so that there is no man, that there is none inhabitant. I said, surely you will fear me. You will receive instruction, so their dwellings should not be cut off. Howsoever I punished them, but they rose early and corrupted all their doings.
So we have become such a defiled state that he's talking about. He's calling us nations now. He's calling us goyim. That's how defiled we are. We should never have been called goyim. We were his people, but we got cut off. Go ahead.
Therefore wait you upon me, says Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms and pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with fire of my jealousy. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. From the rivers, from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed shall bring mine offering. In that day shall you not be ashamed for all your doings wherein you have transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of you them that rejoice in your pride, and you shall no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of you an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh. The remnant of Yasharal shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth, for they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Yasharal. Be glad and rejoice with all the heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahweh has taken away your judgments. He has cast out your enemy. The king of Yasharal, even Yahweh, is in the midst of you. You shall not see evil anymore. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear you not, and to Zion, let not your hands be slack. Yahweh your Elohim in the midst of you is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over you with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over you with singing. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly, who are of you, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict you, and I will save her that halts, and gather her that was driven out, and I will give them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you, for I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, says Yahweh.
So now, at the time that we live, they don't esteem us, because unless we can make them a lot of money, they don't really esteem us. Unless we can entertain them, they don't really esteem us. But all that material stuff and all that joyful and entertainment stuff goes out the window when folks start dying. When the destroyer comes to start killing folks, and they look and say, look, them people over there, they don't got a lot of money, they don't got a lot of fame, they don't have a huge following, but those people right there are living, and the people that are walking the same direction they're walking are living. Now all of a sudden you MVP in your town. Now all of a sudden they esteeming Yahweh through you, and they entreating you, and they putting you on your shoulders and carrying you as an offering. Because now we're talking about life or death. So we just have to endure. We have to endure through this. Matthew chapter 25, and we're going to read verses 31 through 46. Matthew chapter 25, We're going to start that at verse 31. So he's going to gather the sorrowful, the people that are sorry and full of sorrow for how the earth and its inhabitants has defiled his name and defiled his creation.
Matthew 25, verse 31 to 46.
Hold on a second, bro. Matthew chapter 25, and we're going to read verses 31 through 46.
When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Master, when saw we you hungered and fed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? When saw we you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed you? Or when saw we you sick or in prison and came unto you? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me.
Now, understanding a family nature, when somebody does something for your firstborn child, your oldest child, you're like, thank you, man, that was my firstborn child. But when you're baby, your little one, and somebody saves them, that's like, oh my goodness. So this is how the Most High views that, when the little ones, the innocent, the sick, the hurt, the widows, the fatherless, the smallest, most humblest ones out there, when you do that for them and there's nothing that they can do for you in return, they're not even really in a state where they can even remember you did that for them, and you do that for them, that's of great value to him. These are the type of things as far as understanding the Shem of Yahweh, understanding his fame, what makes him, what is he known for, what is he like. Understanding this is the whole reason for studying, to learn what pleases him so that we can do that in our lives, because he just wants us to be holy because he's holy. Go ahead.
Then shall he say also unto them on his left hand, Depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungered, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you took me not in. Naked, and you clothed me not. Sick and in prison, and you visited me not. Then shall they say also, answering him, Master, when saw we you hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto you? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, you did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal.
What family member is going to be like, okay, this man, he done saved my child over here. He done saved my middle child, saved her, brought her home. 3 weeks later, he saw my youngest child walking in the street, and he's just like, well, I don't care what you did for that other child. The little one, you didn't do that, or any of them. It could be an older one. You didn't do it for all my children. So you're an enemy now. I don't care about that, what you did in the past. Look what you did now. And this is how he deals with it. Okay, yeah, you went and you took care of all these people. These were my children too. But they were well off. They understood the word. They had a good understanding. They made your congregation look nice. And they gave you knowledge and wisdom. And you had treated them great. But then the people that really needed you out there, that were lost, sick, and hungry, you turned your back on them. Psalms Tehillim chapter 1. And then we have one more for the conclusion. Psalms chapter 1, we might not ever fully understand the mind of Elohim. But what we can understand is what he gave us to understand. And try our best to get a decent understanding of that, to learn how he is as a spirit, as a father. And understand that if we have him in us through his son, then we should be exhibiting those same characteristics. But we were children of the flesh. So it's not natural for us to be that way. So we have to show that we want to be these sheep on his right. By transforming ourselves and changing ourselves and growing that coat of sheep hair and becoming that sheep.
This Psalm chapter 1, brother, is like the motto of the faith. It's like the mission statement of coming to Yah.
Right.
That's what it has always represented to me.
Right. And it's one we rarely read.
Mm-hmm. Tehillim, Psalms chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in but his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law does he meditate day and night.
He meditates day and night. Doesn't mean he got his book open and he's constantly reading, but he's constantly examining his steps. He's constantly examining the steps of others. He's constantly running that against the law. Everything that happens in life, how does this pertain to the law? And you get punished for that. You get all you do is think about the work. All you do is think about this. All you can never just have a light conversation. Daddy, you always teaching everything. Yes, because my mind is constantly meditating on the law day and night. Because as soon as you decide, let me just cut that light off, is when that big toy that's laying on the floor in the middle of the night is there that you step on and put a hole in your foot. Ah, that's the worst. And that's how Satan does. Satan got plenty of time. He got plenty of time to sit around and wait on you to cut your light off. And that's when he pop up. And that's okay if that happens to the woman in the household, but not that covering. That covering can't slip up like that.
And brother, that meditating day and night, that's how you wash your conscience of all the wicked and the evil you have done in times previous to that. That's how you start cleaning off your brain so that you're not being used by the enemy with those little footholds you might have. Like, what, I think this is okay. Let me just let this stay in the shadows of my mind. No, day and night you are washing and scrubbing. And it goes hand in hand with the Matthew that we read, where it was like, how can you take the mote out of your brother's eye instead of getting the mote out of your own eye? That, some people might think that's a one-time thing. Like, you just, all right, so today I'm gonna just be like, all right, I got the mote out of my eye now. I think I'm okay to get the mote out of other people's eye.
Right.
That is a rule that is constant throughout your whole life. You are removing all the motes out your eye. Every morning you wake up, you're wiping coal and stuff from your eye and mucus. So that's the same thing that happens with your spirit, which says a man that's been washed needs only wash his feet, because you do pick up filth as you go through this life. It's like inevitable. Right. This is a defiled place. This is why Yahweh has not come, because this is all defiled. This is the outer court.
We just be on fire.
Just done.
Because we're vessels, we're dishonorable vessels.
Yep.
We just be burned right up. And even in that process of taking the speck out of your brother's eye, that's part of removing the mote out of your eye. Because some of those things that you got on you that is unclean have to be addressed while you're dealing with that other brother. If you're trying to deal with them properly. It might be your temper that's your mote. And this brother acting like a fool. But you got to deal with him. So in removing that speck, you got to first remove that mote, because you're ready to just cuss this dude and call him a fool. And it tells you about calling people fool in here. What about that? You in danger of the judgment.
Yep.
So all that is related. And in the meditation, if you're not meditating on righteousness, what are you meditating on? Think about it. What are you meditating on?
It must be some wickedness.
It's wickedness. Because it's constant wickedness going on in your head. Doesn't mean like extreme wickedness, like murder, rape, pillage. No. Little things that don't benefit him. Vanity. Little, for men, sexual thoughts. All type of things constantly go off in your head. And it takes you to meditate on the law to say, don't even look. Don't even look that direction. Ignore, say hello, move on. Constantly, if you're not meditating on that law, little things like, man, you know, the cash register is wide open and this little 15-year-old woman is just leaning over here, you know, and all these different things, you know you're going to get caught. But all that carnality, you got to combat that with meditating on this law to eventually, like you said, you scrub that out. Certain things won't even come in your mind no more.
Yeah, amen.
That's
true. And when people bring it up, you get shocked. Like,
right.
Wow, I forgot that goes on in my head.
Exactly.
Brother, I'm glad you said that because, you know, when they say in scripture that, you know, take the lead for what you're going to say on those days, the Holy Spirit is going to, you know, speak for you. I think it works the same way also with that too, because if you are constantly reading and trying to keep yourself meditating on the scripture, you know, looking into yourself, I believe this word, the Holy Spirit is trying to tell you, hey, what you talking about? What you thinking about? What you about to do? What's coming out your mouth? Can you hear your own words? Check yourself. And if you're not checking yourself, what state are you in?
Right.
You know, that's the thing people think of. What state are you in if you can't check your own self?
Right.
And brother, you know, like we were saying about the process of getting the mold out your brother's eyes helps to get out your own. And it's true because if you purge yourself of that blindness of self, when you start pulling stuff out your brother's eye, you be like, you know what, I do that same thing. And you be like, you know what, all right, I'm not going to ignore this because I realize I do it. The only way I can be justified in getting this mold out of my brother's eyes and make sure I address it with myself later on so that I'm not doing iniquity and judging my brother and I have not judged myself equally.
Exactly. Go ahead and finish it up.
Verse 3. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper.
And because he constantly meditates on the word night and day, when that drought comes, he's right by the water. So he's still getting spirit. He's still functioning. Go ahead.
Verse 4. The unrighteous are not so, but are like chaff, which the wind drives away.
I wanted to just look at that word. Ungodly is how they have it here in King James. But the Hebrew word that was used there for ungodly was H7563. Rasha, H7563. And it's very close to Rosh or Rasha.
Raka.
It's very close to that.
Spell it?
It's RASHA.
Rasha. Yeah,
Rasha.
Yeah.
And like Rosh Hashanah and all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's very close to Rosh, which means head. But it means morally wrong, concretely a bad person, guilty, ungodly, wicked man that did wrong. So it's interesting. The opposite of a head is supposed to be, you know, our head is Yahshua, which is righteousness, and Rosh, and then you have Rasha, which is the tail, the morally wrong, concretely bad person, condemned, guilty, wicked. Go ahead and finish that up.
Verse 5. Therefore the wicked shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the unrighteous shall perish.
All right, let's hear the conclusion. We're going to read Matthew chapter 20, and we're going to read 1 through 16. Matthew chapter 20, and we're going to hear this conclusion, verses 1 through 16.
Matthew 20, verse 1. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace.
So they agreed. He didn't just tell them. They agreed. They made a covenant for a penny a day to do this work. Go ahead.
Saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way.
So they didn't get no agreement of exactly how much they were going to get paid. But they didn't have nothing to lose. They had nothing. So they said, sure, anything is better than what we had before. Go ahead.
Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand you here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man has hired us. He said unto them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall you receive. So when even was come, the owner of the vineyard said unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and you have made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a penny? Take that yours is, and go your way. I will give unto this last even as unto you.
So you're going to tell the person in charge, the master, what you should get paid. You agreed that you had that opportunity when it was your time to negotiate. But you wanted that job. So you took the job and you took that penny. Now, if this if this master is righteous, you're going to reap what you sow. If you work harder than everybody else, then you should get a payment better than everybody else. I can understand that and I can believe that, but that's his decision. And he gave you that. He gave you exactly what you agreed upon. But understanding that Yahweh is the master and Yahshua is the master, understanding that, okay, this person may not have tarried and worked and fought that heat as long as you, but both of you entered the kingdom. But both of you may not have the same state, may not have the same job, may not have the same esteem with the Most High. But what will definitely not get you the esteem that he may grant you is to turn around and argue with him about what he's supposed to give you. When it was mercy that you got a job to begin with. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is your eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. For many be called, but few chosen.
So the last shall be first, and the first last. Many called, but few chosen. Well, when you look at it from a different understanding, if you put yourself last, making yourself last, and put Yah first, which means you're putting him and his people first, then you will be first when it's time. And those that decided to put themselves first and Yah last, when it's time for the payment, they will be last and you will be first. So again, there's a big separation happening in our lives. It says before the Adonai returns, there must be a falling away so the men of sin can be revealed. So now is our opportunity, while we have a choice in our say-so, to separate ourselves by saying, we're not going to do what the goats are doing. Does that mean that we have to be away from the goats? No, how are you going? You're supposed to help the goats. That's what you're here for. You're supposed to help people become the sheep of Yasharal, of Yahshua. But going to help them doesn't mean doing what they do, because the majority do. So that's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? All right, let's go ahead and end in prayer.